Hello and welcome to Mind What Matters, the podcast where we explore the current topics in data and cybersecurity with a little bit of fun so you can mind what matters. My name is Samuel Hill. I lead product marketing here at Mind, and I'm excited for today. Normally, I'm joined by my fearless co-host, the actual brains of the operation here at Mind, but unfortunately, Landon Brown is under the weather. I would say we got a replacement, but this would be an upgrade. So today we are upgrading the co-host with my good friend Tyson Hempel, the Chief Revenue Officer here at Mind. Tyson, you are many things, but I think the best way I would describe you is you're a damn good partner. So Tyson, welcome to the Mind What Matters podcast.
Yeah. Hey, thanks guys. Thanks for having me, Sam. Always a pleasure to hang out with my boy. And obviously a shout out to Landon here. Hopefully that he's feeling better. But yeah, super excited about the year in front of us, Sam, 2026. And yeah, thanks for the invite to the podcast. I feel like an important guy today.
Yeah, and you are important, Tyson. No matter what anybody else says, you are important to me at least. Hey, it's 2026. I can't believe that. It's a new year, new stuff going on in the world. So Tyson, let's start off. What is on your mind?
Well, how to grow a mustache like yours right now, Sam, of course. Wow, that's nice, man. No. What's on my mind in 26? Look, as my sort of career path and life path unfolds and my journey or whatever they call it. Um, obviously super thankful for kind of what's going on in my life personally, certainly from a business and professional perspective, but also from a personal perspective. Having a lot of fun with my son Porter, who and
Yep.
who's 10 going on 11, and watching him. We're trying to get some skiing in, and so everybody out there, please do a little snow dance for us. We do have some more snow in Big Sky than a lot of folks, and so enjoying some winter, and yeah, just super excited about the next year, how that unfolds again, both from a personal and professional perspective. I think 2025 had its challenges, such as life, as they say, Sam.
That's
But
right.
certainly we're on one here at Mind, and it's not about just the product or the market or the tech, but more so about the people and the team, and so really excited to get rolling here, my friend.
Yeah, I can't agree more. One, we are all praying for snow here in Montana, waiting for whenever winter decides to arrive. It's been a very odd winter so far, but hopefully soon.
Yeah, and if
What I,
we do this podcast, I might be able to go play golf at 3:30
eh,
today on January 15th at 60 degrees, just so kind of what we're dealing with here. So,
it is
but I really,
ridiculous.
amen. Either let it snow or let it be 60, one of the two.
Yeah, either way, get outside, have some fun.
Right.
I think what's on my mind this week is, we 2026, it's a new year. People set, their different intentions or their whatever they're doing as far as their goals and aspirations, their New Year's resolutions. And so I'm looking forward to continuing on what we've been working hard at here at Mind. Obviously, our podcast, getting more eyeballs, continuing on the trajectory and just seeing what can happen with this. It's been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, cool. Good stuff.
But hey, so let's go into our next segment. We're going to
Sure.
mind the headlines. And the first one, Tyson, is I know. So you and I kind of got our start working together at a healthcare specific company that we worked at both, and ChatGPT and some of the other LLM Gen AI tools have started talking about integrating health records and health data collection. So really, here's the story from ChatGPT here themselves. I'll pull it up here on the screen so we can look at it. It's really about how we're going to do this safely, where you can now all of a sudden put your medical information into Chat GPT Health. Tyson, what do you think about all this?
Yeah. Well, so I think just with all of the AI going on and the different, browsers and blah, 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 that obviously presents a significant data security challenge. I think even more so in the healthcare segment, just because of the amount of sensitive data there, HIPAA data, patient healthcare records. It's some of the most sought after data in the black market. And so, this is obviously, um, another threat landscape that I think should be taken very, very seriously. That being said, I think just across the board, as more and more health records and just data is, the proliferation of data as a whole, and specific to who has access to it, where that sensitive data is being used, who's touching it. Something that every security leader, or even even higher than just a security leader, but every CEO should honestly be thinking about how to protect that patient, that patient data, HIPAA data, etc.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, they give stats about it, how like a significant percentage of people, I think they even say it here, hundreds of millions of people are asking health and wellness questions each week, is what they highlight here in their article on the ChatGPT website. And I think it is really interesting because, healthcare is so personal, it's so unique, and it requires a level of expertise and knowledge, trusted healthcare providers and information that is generally accepted. And I think it's going to be fascinating to watch this play out. And really, to me, it's about the connectivity
Mhm.
between, if you take your Apple Watch and drop data into ChatGPT and it can analyze trends, maybe that's interesting. But if they take the information that your health system generates about you, whether it's an encounter or a visit to your doctor or a conversation, and all of a sudden you're able to manage maybe a complex disease process, I think it's generally positive, but also there's a lot of concerns that are out there. So I think I think it'll be very interesting to see how this all shakes out, especially at the connectivity layer
Yep.
where data is being moved between trusted, untrusted systems
Yep.
and that type of stuff.
100%. And when you think about that, I mean, especially again around healthcare specific patient information, et cetera. If the reason there's a reason why that's some of the most sought after by the bad guys, the bad actors, whatever you want to call them. You can pretty much figure out anything about an individual, not who really cares, and I mean that with all due respect about a credit card number, et cetera. But you can find out folks' maiden's name, who their parents were, who their four folks are, obviously social security numbers, and really is it is like at the core. Or maybe even at the height of that sensitive data, and what organizations be really thinking about today.
Yeah,
How to
you can
protect.
change your credit card number. You can't
Exactly.
change your blood type or things
Yeah.
like that.
100%. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I know. Let me ask you this question: would you trust Doctor Chat GPT if you had, some medical questions about something going on in your life or your family?
Uh, um, well, it never surprises me the amount of information you can get from ChatGPT or a number of other spaces, but I think it goes back to just being careful. I think it's two different conversations. I mean, I think it can be used, for example, my son Porter, who I like to talk about a lot, kind of had that crud that's been going around the nation here and there a few weeks ago, and it was, spiking a temperature to 102, 102.5, 102.8, 102.9, 4 or 5 days in a row. My loving wife and not even much better half, much better, 4/5 of a human in life, Alice, in fact, she was out of town, and so, had some experiences being the oldest of four growing up, and my parents being really young when they had me, um, to kind of deal with that stuff. But I was pretty concerned, and it was 1 a.m. And so, I did get on a chat GPT and say, hey, my son's spiking a temperature to 102.9. I've been, he's been pounding children's Tylenol for 4 days now. Is there anything else I can do besides throw him in an icy cold bathtub? And so, I do think that there's a perfect example. I just did that, a few weeks ago. But again, I think it's a great resource. But I think you need to be careful. Or
Yeah,
one needs to be
but
careful. So,
yeah, hopefully something you can trust, and hopefully it's confirmed by licensed professionals that you can trust and validate
yeah,
some of that stuff with.
100%.
But yeah, great use case. Okay, next thing I wanted to talk with you about, Tyson. So I'm actually really curious your takes on some of these things. So you are very plugged in to the cybersecurity ecosystem, both as with your history and the relationships that you've had. You've been working in this space for a while, and let's just call a spade a spade. You're a chief revenue officer. Your concern is helping companies make money, have high valuations, but also provide really meaningful encounters and solutions and take care of customers.
Yep.
All of that's within your purview and what you're focused on, I think. But there are companies out there that are starting to announce valuations and funding rounds and all of these things. And so I'm just curious. Just obviously there's some specific examples, but that's not the point here. Is how do you go about evaluating cybersecurity companies, their valuation, their market approach, things like that. Talk me through some of your approach as an executive leader in cybersecurity.
Yeah, so how much time do we have here? So this is a wonderful it's a great topic. It's certainly, there's not one answer here, and it's, it's just like as any other market sort of, even flows. What I can a couple things here. First off, I think when you're as you know, I do some investing advising
Mhm.
above and beyond, being a CRO, and maybe, I sort of always tease, maybe I have all of the ivory tower, the VCs, right? Maybe I have them all fooled, but no. First off, I've been really, really lucky to be around some great founders, some wonderfully talented humans, and I think we've kind of got lucky with this is my seventh Israeli startup, fourth as an officer. Um, and you have to get somewhat lucky. Now, what I mean by that is you can't control, market conditions, et cetera. And I think you have to be really, um, really diligent around what space you're going to go into and why. And if you do your market research, you can sometimes get there. Obviously, you don't really know how your message is actually truly going to be received or even perceived, if you know what I mean, until you come to market. And so,
Mhm.
for an example with Mind, where we are today, I think we hit a home run there. I mean, data security and data loss protection is one of the, most most prioritized, interesting, conversations that CISOs are having. Obviously, it's on a lot of their budget lines or budget items, for this year, for FY 27, and rightfully so. I mean, just with the proliferation of data and who has access to it, how it's being shared, touched, etc. It should be, one of the core principles in terms of kind of evaluating an organization's security standards, security strategy, etc. Now, above and beyond that, the reason that I say that is, um, I think there's some intangibles in the world, right? And certainly around sales, I don't think there's a true science behind being a sales professional or a great salesperson or sales executive. It's more of an art, and each person has their own style, stuff like that. And I think each company, especially startup, has their own styles, and regardless of that market or space that you're in, um, certainly, I think you need to be listening to the market, especially really, really early stage. You need to be listening like your design partners to the market. You might have some ideas around or some thoughts or some strategy around or certainly your vision of what your company's going to do. And we're going to go solve this problem. We're going to do it. We're going to develop this, and this next steps. And I think that's a great way to lose. I think you need to be really mindful, no pun intended, for you folks out there around listening to market feedback, early stage prospects, early stage design customers. You're going to fail. You're going to have to change your messaging. I think, Sam, that's why you're one of
Mhm.
the best in the business, is really being dynamic around listening to that sales and sort of front line of an organization's, face of the company list out there in the marketplace, and but then how that relates back to product, what you're doing from the ability to actually develop and prioritize product development and the money you're pouring in there without being a speed and feed it warehouse. But then how does that relate to your messaging out in the marketplace? I think that's really, really, really hard to do for early stage founders and organizations. Above and beyond that, I think even the most important is the people. And you know me, Sam, I'm a huge,
Mhm.
huge people person. I'm not that
Yeah.
smart. I've got, average IQ. I've got wicked high EQ. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
Um, but that it'll, we've, some of the organizations we've been part of, and maybe why I have some of those VCs fooled or whatever. Um, I've been really lucky to be around some great founders, and even more so some really um, professional folks, not just in sales, channel, engineering, you know, ops, marketing,
Yeah.
founders, and certainly, investors and VCs that have really stood behind me and allowed me to, sort of leverage my EQ, if you will. But make some really great hires, and then even if one is very, very talented, that culture around, actually truly being maniacally focused on allowing people that wake up and run hard with you every day, like in the trenches, right? Go to battle every day, whatever you want to call it. but putting them in a position to succeed both personally and professionally. And that financial piece always comes, and that's really interesting. And so, I think those are some of the intangibles. The other thing I'm a huge fan of, Sam, and you know me well, is like you got to work your ass off. Period. Like there's no free lunch, my friends.
Yeah.
Unless you're winning the lottery, and boy, was that huge. Like I haven't bought a lottery ticket in, I don't know, 10 years, but I was in
Yeah.
New York City kind of over the holidays, and I was like, is that 1.7 billion? Like my
That's
and Porter,
crazy
my son,
numbers. Yeah.
actually, oh my God, Dad, I think it's like 1.7 billion. I'm like, well, I'll take a lottery ticket. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so I missed my free lunch is my point there. So back to working my ass off.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Good thing you're
But
good
I
at
think,
that.
yeah. And so I think that's what, so if you, so sort of, that's kind of the first piece. I know you kind of asked me,
Yeah.
I kind of answered in reverse order there. And so you talk about these valuations. Look, I've been there's a lot of sales leaders and executives who really don't understand like the end game and like, what's really going on from an investor perspective. And look, it's the golden rule. The one with all the gold makes all the rules. And until I think people swallow that and really understand that pill, like, that's something important I think that you need to deal with in life. And you can certainly leverage it to your advantage and not try to fight it. And what I mean by that is, look, it's cyclical. And we saw a lot of,
Mhm.
crazy valuations and a lot of money on the streets in 19, 20, 21, and then kind of boom, and a lot of organizations failed. I mean,
Yeah.
and when I say fail, I'm not even mean just like fully, shut down and, and folks lose their money and people have jobs and ruin their careers or whatever. But even like these really crazy high valuation, I can tell you, you're seeing it again in the last 12 months. Certainly a lot of momentum in the market around specifically cybersecurity investments
Yeah.
and money on the streets. There's some big rounds that are being delivered. But at the same time, I also think that the landscape of cyber and sort of how we're protecting data and protecting organizations, et cetera, has really changed. I think also, not to really bring it back to mind or DLP, but DLP is very broad, and it's
Yeah.
extremely challenging, difficult tech to build. And like the rounds of sort of the valuation of rounds of 10 years ago, let alone 5 years ago, and 10 years ago, a $2 or $3 million seed round and an $8 million A round probably isn't going to get you there when you're trying to build a
Right.
data security platform. Okay,
Right.
it's just a fact. And so I think it goes back to, how I look at an organization is, how successful have the founders been in their pursuits, and whether that's around being a first time or second time founder or whatever, really the core team and is there synergy there? Sort of what are their beliefs in terms of what their strategy, not so much from a technical perspective, but kind of what we're talking about. Like, what does it mean to you to build an amazing company?
Hmm.
I think also when you start thinking about and another thing a lot of folks don't know about is like, when you have these large raises, it's, like at some point, if there's like a secondary that takes somebody out, if you go raise $100 million, $50 million seed round, $150 million A round, like you're gonna have to sell a lot of software for there to be, a pot of gold for employees at the end of the day. And I think,
Right.
that's really important to me and certainly to our founders here at Mind, is to make sure that everybody that wakes up and grinds, for however many years it takes, just keep our head down and keep going. I don't have a crystal ball. People say, "Hey, when are you guys going to exit?" If I had a crystal ball, I wouldn't be just selling software,
That's
Sam,
right.
right?
That's right.
I'd,
Yeah.
I'd
That's
probably
right.
be like
Exactly
you,
right.
be a superstar movie star here. So, um, but I think it's really important, and that kind of goes back to my statement around the intangibles around building a team and like how do I evaluate a company. I think there's a lot of different aspects, but I think sort of that intangible is around really taking care of your people and then what you get in return, even from an investor perspective or bottom line or high value, whatever you're looking for,
Right.
is a lot more. People are going to run through walls for you. They're going to follow you from company to company. There's faster ramp time. I mean,
Hmm.
at the end of the day, everyone's having fun. And so, um, I can go much. That's my point, Sam. I know it's a
Yeah.
long-winded answer, and I hope that's what
Yeah.
you're looking for, friend. Yep.
It is. No, and that's what I was going to say is like, look, there's a lot of cybersecurity companies, and the reason that there is so many of them is because there are obviously many problems that need to be solved across the industry in cybersecurity. And so, a lot of times, though, they do need that initial traction. And so, there are specific companies and security leaders that are looking into this market, and they're seeing new innovative solutions, and the value is like. It would take them however many years and so much investment for them to build a new product or service within their own organization for their own company. So that's not really reasonable. So they look to the market. and they're finding these new startups. But the AI multiplier on valuation and the investment there
Yeah.
is so real right now. Like you can
Yeah.
see, it used to be whatever X number times revenue, that's kind of a valuation. Now you just throw the words AI somewhere in your company and it's like that has just ballooned. So maybe
Yeah.
give some advice to like security leaders who are looking at these early stage companies that have these ridiculous funding rounds and
Yeah.
raises and valuations just because they have the word AI in it. What should they be looking for under the hood as they evaluate partnership with
Mhm.
companies that are entering the market?
Yep. No, that again, how much time do we have here? No, it's great. I mean, look, that's a great question. AI, right? I think very, very important too. It's going to be with us for the rest of our lives.
Yep.
I mean, imagine what our kids, our grandkids' lives are going to be, and you know, how, how important AI and what a part of life that's going to be for them. But yeah, I mean, I think the market's going to adjust itself, and it's all going to get shaken out. I mean, it's just like anything else. It's like the biggest buzzword right now, right? Like,
Mhm.
and so I think you need to be careful just because someone says or an organization or a vendor says they have AI, but what does that mean? Okay. And like, um, regardless, I think if it's even that AI or whatever, if you're evaluating a vendor or you have business gaps in your organization, you're looking for, a tech company to come partner with you, and that's not buy them, but partner with you. And I think that's where it
Right.
all begins is a true partnership. Find an organization that's maniacally focused on partnership. And it's not about just tech. It's not about just big rounds or, oh, they're the hottest thing because they raised $150 million and they must be that damn good, right? Because
Yeah.
because VCs are the smartest ones out there, which we can have another conversation about that as well, right? And so
Shh, don't ruin that secret, Tyson.
yeah,
Don't let
exactly.
that one out of the bag yet. Yeah.
So look, and I think you need to find an organization that's maniacally focused on end user value. And so what does that mean? And there's a lot of ways. A lot of times I don't even think the end users, the prospects truly know what it is they need to do. And so I think that's when you kind of look to a vendor, and certainly they're going to be biased in some cases, but honestly they don't have to be. And so it's more about understanding you know like what do you need to solve for immediately, and how do you see immediate ROI to your organization, and then finding a vendor or a partner that will build with you. And so even if they can solve those top three line items, like boom, 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 immediately. But what does it mean after 6 months? What does it mean after a year? What does it mean after 2 years? Are they gonna actually continue to develop um that relationship and their tech and that process and those people to give you ongoing value? And again, it's not about just tech or high raises. It's about, people, process, and technology together.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a great answer because at the end of the day, right? And we saw this when the whole monetary system kind of changed in venture,
Yep.
where companies all of a sudden it couldn't just go get another round whenever they needed more cash. They actually had to be a little more fiscally conservative. They had to have good discipline on their profit and loss. They actually had to have a balance sheet that made sense. Their
Yep.
burn rates became incredibly important. And so, as a CISO, you have to look at the market and say, do they actually have a fundamental business that can keep going for the next 2, 3, 4, 10 years
100%.
so that I'm not just left high and dry with a technology that's now shelfware because the company no longer exists.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, Tyson, this was the part of the conversation I was looking forward to getting to.
All right. Let's go,
It's
baby.
let's go. So you can't make stuff up sometimes. Like Hollywood couldn't write a script sometimes for what happens. And you've been in sales and leadership for some time. You've had some experiences.
Yep.
I want to talk about, you can't make this up. So I'll start off with a story that I have. This is where we're going to share kind of, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe that happened. So I had an experience one time, Tyson, where I got to fly down to Las Vegas to a partner event. Let's just call it a partner event. It was one of our partners and they had put on an event. It was in a suite at a hotel down in Las Vegas. And you can already picture, in the industry, we call them a boondoggle. Customers were going down to Vegas.
Yep.
Us as vendor partners were providing a sponsorship. And, part of that sponsorship, I got to go down there and I got to give just a 15-minute presentation about our value and the company I worked at a while ago. And each vendor is only supposed to have 15 minutes. We're in this suite at a hotel in Las Vegas. And afterwards, we're all going out for dinner and drinks, the typical Vegas stuff. And the person in front of me, who I was the last to speak, so I'm the person standing right before dinner and drinks. I'm the person in the way. So no one likes that position to be in. But the person in front of me, he gets up there and he starts talking. He's just reading off of slides, 10 minutes go by. He's still reading off the slides. Gets to the 15-minute mark when he's supposed to be done so the rest of us can finish our presentations. We can all go get some dinner. And so 15 minutes comes by, and a person in the back, a woman who worked at the company, the partner, raises her hand, is like giving him the sign of wrap it up. And he just literally looks at her and says, "Listen, sweetie, I'll be done when I'm done," in front of the entire room. You
Wow.
can't make this stuff up. And I had to get up and follow that
So,
yard sale of a human being and try to tell these people about the value of my company. So Tyson, I'm just curious,
yeah.
do
So,
you have any stories that you couldn't write a script for?
well, is this a PG-13 rated
We should.
R? Like, what are we doing here? No, I'm
You're
kidding.
an officer. You're an officer in
Oh,
our
no, no,
company, Tyson.
listen, no, no. I've really tried pretty hard not to embarrass myself, but
Yeah,
sometimes, I'm kind of the butt of a lot of jokes, but that's okay. I'm kind of who I am in the world. And Sam, as you
yep.
know, I'm
Comes with the
pretty
territory.
my own
Yep,
skin, whether that's good or
yep.
bad. Look, I think I have a handful of stories. I think, I've flown to the wrong country before, the wrong country. Um, I can tell you I don't know how many in-team conversation or stories or even, being a witness to some disasters at CKOs or Vegas trips that people have had,
Mm,
but I don't quite sure that those are appropriate here. So I will tell
fair
you
enough.
one that's, it's pretty, and this didn't happen to me, but I was sort of in the race. And so, I'm almost 52 years old and still kind of have Peter Pan complex. I feel like 35 was just a few weeks ago or a year or two ago. And so certainly not in the best shape that I used to be in. I try to take care of my body, but um, I think at a company that you were part of a few years ago, there were some younger, studs, or at least I thought they were, and certainly they. And so, I recall a race on the streets of San Diego one night at a partner event, and this is at Metagate, and I wanted, so I got in like a 50-yard dash with a couple of younger pups, and I got dusted. Of course, and that's okay. Almost fell on my face. The next gentleman that wanted to race them, they dude, you're gonna get your ass beat. Excuse my French, everyone.
Yeah.
Right? Um, Not only did this one said human, which I won't deliver anything, but
We'll change the name to protect
pulled
innocent
his
here.
hand,
Yeah.
managed to try to get off the line, made about 15 yards, completely pulled his hamstring. And I'm talking a year to get back to even where this one said human was. And I think still to this day, and this was 12 years ago, I still think to this day that he regrets trying to race those two young pups because I don't think his hamstrings are ever the same. And
Oh,
when for those of you who have never pulled your hamstring, it's not like just, oh, ouch. It's like keel over, like and the guy's hamstring was just torn. And so,
oh.
so that was pretty fun. I could go on forever around this, and I think maybe we should do an adult version sometime. No,
We'll do some fireside stories. We'll
those are
put
the
it.
stories that
Yeah.
are told behind the scenes. So, yeah, there's a lot of good ones out there.
That's the thing, right? It's, sales is a fun career, and obviously you meet interesting people, you get to do interesting things, but obviously all of it in the service of trying to be a good partner, trying to help solve problems and all of these things. And so, yeah, that's what the joke is, right? With the hamstring, it's like they
Yeah.
call it like the sniper rifle. It's like somebody's running and all of a sudden they just everything
Oh, it's
stops.
done.
Like
Oh
they're
yeah.
just done.
And of course, I think, while that was pretty funny, obviously the banter leading up to this for an hour, that was the best part because the banter back and forth between these two individuals, or, three of them. And so, yes, it was, sort of felt bad for the human, but sort of deserved it. Like, come on, man, they're 20 years younger than you. And they just ran a 4.6 right in front of you about 10 seconds ago.
You should know better at some point. You should
That's
know
that's
better.
faster than a
Yeah.
lot of
That's
D1 athletes. So anyways,
that's right.
that was a
That's
good
right.
one. Yeah, so all good, Sam.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and obviously, so as we get into conference season, just remember maybe you're not as young as you used to be, and
There is the
don't race the young kids.
yes, yes. Age like a fine wine, not the other way around, right?
There
So
you go.
not
There
like a
you
grumpy
go.
one.
Well, Tyson, that's gonna bring us to the end here. So I want to ask you though, as we close, as we do every episode, Tyson, what did you learn today?
Well, besides how well your new mustache is groomed, my friend, no, it's been a lot of fun. I know you've asked me to come on to these a couple times in the past. It hasn't worked out, but I've always wanted to do this with you, Sam, and really appreciate you. And I'm a listener to the podcast. Obviously, looking forward to getting back into to fighting weight here in the next few days. But other than that, I had a lot of fun, Sam, and looking forward to next time.
Yeah, and I think what I've learned today is, one, act your age, and two, look under the hood for the real things that actually mean the most. And for salespeople, sometimes it is actually the focus on how concerned are you with the actual outcomes that your platform says it delivers, and will you stand by that? I had a customer at one point, and he was not concerned about whether we would be there at the front end of the deal. It would be, hey, when something inevitably does go wrong, will you still show up, shake my hand, and say, we're going to make this right. We're committed to you. We're going to help deliver the results that we did promise.
Yeah,
So,
the customer journey and sales executive journey doesn't begin or end at the actual sale. And so, yes, it should be ongoing and even above and beyond, one said company. And I think the folks that do that the best are the ones that are the most successful as a, sales in their sales career, profession, life, etc. So, yep.
yeah, well, very well said. And so that will be it. Hey, so for Tyson Hempel, my name is Samuel Hill, and that's all for now.